6 months had passed since the battle. Ambassador Kong Taiho walked through the corridors of Nexus, Prime with a different posture now. He was no longer a visitor asking for acceptance. He was a voice that the galaxy had learned to hear. The Grand Assembly Hall looked the same as before, but everything had changed. When Taiho entered, delegates turned to watch him. Some nodded in greeting. Others quickly looked away. A few smiled. Humanity now held a full voting seat at the council. 47 species had signed the petition requesting their inclusion. Not out of love, Taiho knew. Out of calculation. The galaxy had realized that humans were not going away, and it was better to have them inside the system than outside it. He took his place among the other ambassadors and waited for the session to begin. Much had happened in 6 months. The investigation into Vexery actions had revealed horrors that even Taiho had not imagined. Decades of secret attacks, hidden massacres, entire colonies wiped out and blamed on space accidents or natural disasters. The evidence was overwhelming. The Vexery had used the doctrine as a weapon for generations. High Arbiter Vilox rose to address the chamber. Today we consider a proposal that has not been made in 10,000 years, he announced. An amendment to the non-aggression doctrine. Murmurs rippled through the hall. Some delegates shifted nervously. Others leaned forward with interest. The proposed amendment of justified defense would allow preemptive action when credible evidence proves an imminent attack. Such action would require formal review by the Council within 30 days. Abuse of this amendment would result in severe sanctions. He paused, looking across the assembled species. This proposal was inspired by recent events. Some say it is necessary change. Others say it is the beginning of chaos. Today we vote. The vote took 3 hours. Species argued passionately on both sides. The Vexery delegation, now led by a younger and quieter representative, voted against. So did their remaining allies. But many others remembered the evidence. Many others remembered their own losses. Many others were tired of being prey when the count finished. The amendment had passed, narrowly, but it had passed, for the first time in 10,000 years. The galaxy's oldest law had changed. On Earth. Admiral Park Yuna watched the result with Cho Min-ho at her side. They stood in the new command center, 3 times larger than the old one. Construction crews worked around the clock to expand Earth's defenses. Shipyards produced new vessels. Training academies filled with young officers eager to serve. We did it, Min-ho said quietly. We did something, Yuna corrected. The hard work starts now. She walked to the window overlooking the valley below. In the distance, a new ship rose toward the sky, its engines blazing with blue fire. The first of a new fleet. Not for conquest, but for protection. Captain Kim Hanna had been promoted to Commodore. She now commanded the Second Fleet, stationed at the outer edge of human space. Her orders were simple: watch, wait, and respond. Never attack first, but never hesitate to strike back. The Vexery had been quiet since the amendment passed. Their military was broken, their reputation destroyed, their allies abandoning them one by one. But they were still dangerous. Wounded animals often were. In her quarters aboard the new flagship, Commodore Hanna read reports from the border. Vexery ships had been seen near the neutral zone. Not attacking, not threatening. Just watching. Let them watch, she thought. Let them see what we have become. Strategist Min-ho had begun training officers from allied species. The Silthery sent their first students, eager to learn the tactics that had defeated the Vexery. Other species followed. Slowly, carefully, a new kind of alliance was forming. Not based on law alone, but on shared understanding. On mutual protection. On the simple truth that standing together was better than dying alone. 3 months after the amendment passed, something unexpected happened. A Vexery diplomatic vessel requested permission to dock at Nexus Prime. Warlord Corvus was not aboard. He had been removed from power by his own people, sent into exile on a distant moon. The new Vexery leader was someone Taiho had never met. Ambassador Kong Taiho stood in a private chamber, waiting. The door opened, and a Vexery female entered. She was smaller than Corvus, her armor lighter, her eyes carrying something other than fury. Ambassador Taiho, she said. I am Speaker Myra. I represent the Vexery people. Speaker. Taiho nodded formally. What do you want? She hesitated. For a moment she looked almost vulnerable. We want to negotiate. Taiho said nothing, waiting. The war between our peoples has cost us greatly, Myra continued. Our military is broken. Our allies have abandoned us. Our reputation is ruined. She met his eyes. Corvus led us to disaster. His way brought only death. We do not wish to continue his path. What do you offer? Peace? True peace? We will withdraw all forces from the border regions. We will pay reparations to the Sylphery and others we have wronged. We will ... She paused, struggling with the words. We will apologize. Taiho studied her carefully. He saw no deception in her eyes. Only exhaustion. Only the weight of inherited shame. I will bring your offer to my people, he said. I make no promises. That is all I ask. She turned to leave, then stopped at the door. Ambassador, may I ask you something? Yes, were you afraid? When you made your choice to attack first? Taiho thought of the sleepless nights. The weight of command. The faces of the dead. The children who would never be born because their parents died in the battle. Every moment, he admitted. But fear did not stop us. Myra nodded slowly. Perhaps that is why you won. She left, and Taiho stood alone in the quiet room. Outside the window, stars glittered against the endless dark. Somewhere out there, human ships patrolled the borders. Somewhere out there, new alliances were forming. Somewhere out there, the galaxy was changing, one small step at a time. Humanity had arrived as strangers. They had been judged as criminals. They had been feared as monsters. Now they were something else. Something new. Something the galaxy had never seen before. They were the species that fought back. Kang. Taiho smiled and began drafting his message to Earth. There was work to be done. There was always work to be done, but for the first time in 12 years, he believed that humanity's future among the stars was secure, not because they were loved, because they were respected, and that was enough. The vote had ended, but the war of words had just begun. Warlord Corvus stormed out of the chamber, his guards following like shadows. As he passed Taiho, he stopped. His eyes burned with hatred. This is not over, human, he growled. Your species has made an enemy today. We will not forget. We will not forgive. Taiho met his gaze without fear. Your fleet already tried to make us victims. Look how that ended. Corvus snarled and continued walking. His boots echoed through the hall like thunder fading into distance. Around the chamber, delegates began to leave. Some avoided looking at Taiho. Others stared at him with new expressions, emotions he could not quite read. Fear, perhaps. Or curiosity. Or something that might have been respect. Lyra of the Pale Moons approached him. Up close, she was even more delicate than she had appeared from the podium. Her pale skin seemed almost transparent, and her dark eyes held depths of sorrow. You took a great risk today, she said quietly. I had no choice. There is always a choice. You chose to fight instead of die. She paused. My people made the opposite choice 30 years ago. We chose to follow the law. We chose to trust the system. Her voice dropped to a whisper. We chose wrong. I am sorry for what happened to your people. Do not be sorry. Be strong. She reached out and touched his hand briefly. Her skin was cool as moonlight. The galaxy is watching you now. Many species have suffered under predators like the Vexery. They followed the rules. They lost everything. Today you showed them another way. She turned and walked away, leaving Taiho alone with her words on Earth. Admiral Park Yuna watched the broadcast from the council chamber. The war room was silent around her. Every officer, every analyst, every technician stood frozen, waiting. The vote had tied. Velox had abstained. Humanity was not expelled, but they were not safe either. What happens now? Director Lee Junho asked. Yuna did not answer immediately. She was thinking about the ships still traveling through hyperspace, carrying crews who did not yet know if they were heroes or criminals. She was thinking about the families waiting at home. She was thinking about tomorrow and all the tomorrows after. Now we wait again, she finally said. But this time on our terms. The main screen flickered. A new transmission was coming in from the fleet. Yuna accepted it. Captain Kim Hana's face appeared. She looked exhausted, her uniform wrinkled, her eyes carrying the weight of battle. But she was alive. She was coming home. Admiral, the fleet is 12 hours from Earth. All surviving ships report stable. We lost 3 vessels in the battle. 241 crew members are confirmed dead. Another 89 are wounded. Yuna felt each number like a knife in her heart. 241. Faces she would never see again. Voices she would never hear. Lives cut short so that millions could live. Understood, Captain. You did well? Hana hesitated. Admiral, the crew is asking. They want to know what the council decided. They want to know if we single quotes read, you are not criminals. Yuna's voice was firm. You are soldiers who protected your people. The council did not expel us. We remain part of galactic civilization. Relief washed across Hana's face. Behind her, Yuna could hear cheering spreading through the ship. Come home, Captain. You have earned it. The transmission ended. Back on Nexus Prime, Taiho was preparing to leave when High Arbiter Velox appeared beside him. The old alien moved silently, like a ghost made of gray smoke. Ambassador, I would speak with you privately. Taiho followed him to a small chamber off the main hall. The room was empty except for 2 chairs. They sat facing each other. You are wondering why I abstained, Velox said. I am. The answer is simple. I could not decide. He folded his long fingers together. For 3,000 years I have served the doctrine. I have believed in it completely. Wait to be attacked. Never strike first. Peace through patience. And now? Velox was silent for a long moment. When he spoke again, his voice was tired. Now I am not certain. Your evidence was clear. The Vexari were coming to destroy your colonies. If you had followed the doctrine, millions would have died. The law would have protected their murderers. He looked at Taiho with ancient eyes. Is that justice? No, no. Velox agreed. It is not. But if we abandon the doctrine, what replaces it? Chaos? Every species attacking every other, claiming justification? Perhaps something in between, Taiho said carefully. A doctrine that allows defense when evidence proves a threat exists. Not endless war, but not helpless waiting either. Velox considered this. Such a change would require years of debate. Many species would resist. Many species are afraid to resist. But today, they saw that resistance is possible. The old arbiter rose slowly. You have started something today, Ambassador. I do not know if it is good or bad. But I know it cannot be stopped. He walked to the door, then paused. The Vexari will seek revenge. They are proud and cruel. You should prepare? We are always preparing, Taiho replied. It is what humans do. Velox nodded once and disappeared into the shadows. Taiho sat alone in the empty room. Tomorrow he would return to Earth. Tomorrow he would face new challenges, new enemies, new decisions. But tonight, for just one moment, he allowed himself to feel something like hope. Humanity had stood alone against the galaxy and survived. Whatever came next, they would face it together. The Grand Assembly Hall of Nexus Prime was the largest room Kong Taiho had ever seen. It curved upward like the inside of a shell, with seats rising in endless circles toward a ceiling lost in shadow. 200 species sat in those seats. Some had scales. Some had wings. Some had no bodies at all, existing only as patterns of light. All of them were staring at him. Taiho stood alone at the central podium. A single spotlight fell upon him. Beyond that light, the darkness was filled with eyes. High Arbiter Velox rose from his seat at the highest point of the chamber. He was tall and thin, with gray skin that seemed to absorb light. His species, the Orthani, had guided the Council for 3,000 years. They believed in rules above all things. Ambassador Kong Taiho of Earth, Vilok spoke, his voice echoing through the chamber. You have been summoned to answer for crimes against the Galactic Accord. Your species has violated the non-aggression doctrine by launching an unprovoked attack on the Vexery Dominion. How do you respond? Taiho felt the weight of every gaze. He thought of Yuna, watching from Earth. He thought of Hana, whose fleet was still returning home. He thought of the 12 million people who would have died if humanity had followed the rules. I confirm these facts, Taiho said clearly. Humanity struck first. The chamber exploded, voices shouted in 100 languages. Delegates rose from their seats. Some pointed at Taiho with fury. Others watched with cold calculation. The noise was overwhelming, a wall of sound crashing against him. Velox raised one long arm. Slowly, the chamber fell quiet. You admit to breaking our most sacred law? Velox asked. His voice carried no emotion. You understand the consequences? I understand that you have laws, Taiho replied. I also understand that your laws protected a fleet that was preparing to murder 12 million of my people. More shouting. Velox silenced it again. From the Vexery section, a massive figure rose. Warlord Thane Corvus was built like a mountain, covered in black armor that seemed to drink the light. His species were predators, hunters who had conquered a dozen worlds before joining the council. Lies! Corvus roared. Our fleet was on routine patrol. These humans attacked without warning, without cause. They are savages, animals. They must be expelled from this council and punished. Taiho did not react. He had expected this. Routine patrol, he repeated calmly. 200 warships. 50 troop transports. Supply vessels carrying food for 6 months. Weapons configured for planetary bombardment. All of this pointed directly at human colonies. He pressed a button on the podium. A holographic display appeared above the chamber, showing detailed images of the Vexery fleet before the attack. Ship positions. Weapons configurations. Intercepted communications. This is what your routine patrol looked like, Warlord. Corvus snarled but said nothing. Around the chamber, delegates leaned forward, studying the images. Taiho continued. 3 weeks ago, our intelligence services intercepted Vexery communications. They detailed the attack plan, the targets, the timeline. He looked directly at Corvus. You plan to strike in 6 days. You plan to destroy our colonies, kill our people, and claim our territory. And you believed we would do nothing because your precious doctrine said we had to wait. Even if this is true, Velox interrupted, the law is clear. You cannot strike first. You must wait until attacked. Wait, Taiho let the word hang in the air. Wait, while 200 warships crossed into our space. Wait, while they took position above our worlds. Wait, while they dropped the first bombs on cities filled with children. His voice grew harder. And then, when our people were dead, when our colonies were burning, then we could fight back. Is that your law? Silence. A new voice spoke. It was soft and musical like wind through leaves. Lyra of the Pale Moons rose from the Silthery section. Her species was slender and pale, with large dark eyes that seemed to hold infinite sadness. I would like to ask the warlord a question, she said. Velox nodded permission. Lyra turned to Corvus. 30 years ago, your dominion gathered a similar fleet near Silthery space. We followed the doctrine. We waited. Do you remember what happened next? Corvus said nothing. Your ships entered our territory. Your soldiers landed on our outer colonies. They killed 40 million of my people before we could organize a defense. Her voice remained calm, but tears fell from her dark eyes. We followed the law. We waited. And our children died screaming. The chamber was completely silent now. Lyra looked at Taiho. The humans did not wait. Their children will live. Corvus roared in fury. This is not about the Silthery. This is about law. About order. If we allow this, any species can attack any other and claim it was justified. Only if they have evidence, Taiho responded. We have evidence. We have shown you exactly what the Vexery were planning. Can you show evidence that our people were ever a threat to you? Can you show one ship, one weapon, one plan that threatened your worlds? Corvus could not. Vilox raised his hand again. This council must vote. The question is simple. Should humanity be expelled for violating the non-aggression doctrine? Taiho spoke quickly. Before you vote, I ask you one thing. Look at the evidence. Look at what the Vexery were planning. And then ask yourselves, if it were your worlds, your children, your people, would you have waited? He let the question settle into every heart, every mind. Humanity chose to protect our own. We knew the cost. We knew you might punish us. We did it anyway. Because some things are more important than laws. Some things are more important than acceptance. Our children are more important. He stepped back from the podium. Do what you must. We have already done what we had to. The vote began. Species after species declared their position. The numbers climbed. Expulsion, remain, expulsion, remain. The chamber held its breath. When the count finished, it was perfectly tied. All eyes turned to Vilox. The High Arbiter would cast the deciding vote. He stood in silence for a long moment. Then he spoke. I abstain. Chaos erupted once more. But Taiho understood. The council could not decide. And in that indecision, humanity had survived, for now. Captain Kim Hanna stood on the bridge of the UES horizon and watched the stars streak past like white rain. In hyperspace, everything felt unreal. Time moved strangely. Sound felt distant. It was easy to forget that 46 other ships followed behind her, carrying 10,000 men and women toward a battle that would change everything. She had not slept in 30 hours. She could not. Captain, we reached the drop point in 2 hours. Hannah turned to her first officer, a young man named Bei Sunwoo. He was 28 years old. He had a wife on Earth and a daughter he had never held. If they failed today, he would never hold her. Status of the fleet? Hannah asked. All ships report ready. No mechanical problems. Crew morale is... He paused. Complicated. Hannah nodded. She understood. Every person on every ship knew what they were about to do. They were going to break the oldest law in the galaxy. They were going to attack a fleet that had not yet attacked them. They were going to become criminals in the eyes of 200 species, but they were also going to save 12 million lives. She walked to the main view screen and stared into the swirling colors of hyperspace. Behind her, officers worked quietly at their stations. The bridge hummed with energy and tension. Everyone was waiting. Everyone was afraid, but no one was running deep beneath the mountains of Korea. Strategist Cho Minho sat in the command center and watched the same data Hannah was seeing. His screen showed the position of every human ship. His calculations predicted every possible outcome. He had run the numbers 1,000 times. They would win. Probably, the Vexery were not expecting an attack. Their ships were still loading supplies. Their crews were not at battle stations. If the human fleet struck fast and hard, they could destroy the enemy's command ships before the Vexery could organize a response. But war was not mathematics. War was chaos. War was fear and luck and the terrible things that happened when plans met reality. Admiral Park, Yuna entered the command center and stood beside him. She said nothing for a long moment. They both watched the screens. How many will we lose? She finally asked. Minho hesitated. Best case, 2 ships, maybe 3. Worst case, 15, and the crew? Between 200 and 2,000. The numbers hung in the air like ghosts. 200 to 2,000 people who would not come home. 200 to 2,000 families who would receive terrible news. 200 to 2,000 empty chairs at dinner tables across Earth. Is there any other way? Yuna asked quietly. No. Minho's voice was steady. If we wait, the Vexery attack in 6 days. Their fleet is 3 times larger than ours. If they reach Kepler, they will burn every colony to ash. We lose 12 million. Or we strike now and lose 2,000. Yes, Yuna closed her eyes. She was 61 years old. She had served in the fleet for 40 years. She had seen things that would haunt her forever. But nothing prepared her for this moment. Nothing prepared any human for the weight of choosing who lived and who died. She opened her eyes. Send the final order. All ships to attack positions. Minho pressed the button. Aboard the Horizon, Captain Hana received the order. She read it twice, then turned to face her crew. All hands, this is the captain. Her voice carried through every corridor, every room, every heart on the ship. In 2 hours, we will drop out of hyperspace near the Vexery staging grounds. We will engage their fleet. We will destroy their ability to threaten our homes and our families. She paused. The ship was silent. 10,000 souls listening. I will not lie to you. What we are doing today breaks galactic law. Other species will call us criminals. They will say we are dangerous. They will say we are monsters. She looked at Sunwoo. He nodded slightly. But I want you to think about something. Think about the colonies in Kepler. Think about the children there, playing in gardens, looking up at stars they believe are peaceful. Think about their parents, working hard, building futures they believe are safe. Her voice hardened. The Vexery were coming to murder them. Not because those colonists did anything wrong. Not because Earth threatened them. But because we are new. Because we are weak. Because they believed no one would stop them. She gripped the railing of the command platform. Today we prove them wrong. Today we show the galaxy that humanity protects its own. Today we draw a line and we say, this far, no further. Our children will not burn so that politicians can keep their precious laws. A sound rose through the ship. It took Hannah a moment to realize what it was. Cheering. Not loud. Not wild. But steady, determined. The sound of people who had made peace with their choice. Sunwoo stepped forward. Captain, all stations report ready for battle. Hannah straightened her uniform. She thought of her mother in Seoul, who still made her soup when she came home. She thought of the life she might never live. She thought of the children on Kepler who would never know her name. It was enough. It was more than enough. Drop from hyperspace in 30 seconds, the navigation officer announced. The stars stopped streaking. Reality snapped back into focus. And there, against the blackness of space, floated the Vexery fleet. 200 ships, fat and unprepared, their weapons cold. Their shields down, they had no idea what was coming. Hannah opened the fleet channel. Her voice was calm and clear. All ships, weapons free? Show them what humanity is made of. The first missiles launched. The first beams fired. The darkness lit up with fire, and somewhere in the command center on Earth, Admiral Yuno watched and whispered a prayer for the dead who did not yet know they were dying. The war had begun. The message arrived at midnight. Earth time. Ambassador Kang Taiho stood in his small office aboard the human diplomatic station and read the words 3 times. The Galactic Council demanded his presence. Not requested, demanded, in 12 years of humanity's contact with alien civilizations. No such message had ever come. He knew why, 3 weeks ago. The United Earth Fleet had done something no species had done in 10,000 years of galactic history. They had attacked first. They had struck an enemy before that enemy struck them. And now, the galaxy wanted answers. Taiho walked to his window and looked out at the stars. Somewhere out there, 47 human warships were returning home. Somewhere out there, the burning wreckage of the Vexery invasion fleet drifted in the cold darkness of space. And somewhere out there, 200 alien species were deciding whether humanity deserved to exist among them. His communication device buzzed. He answered it. Admiral Park Yuna appeared on the screen. She was a tall woman with short gray hair and tired eyes. Behind her, Taiho could see the war room beneath the mountains of Korea. Screens glowed with data. Officers moved quickly between stations. You received the summons, she said. It was not a question, I did. Director Lee is here with me. We need to discuss your approach. Lee Junho stepped into view. He was younger than both of them, but his face carried the weight of secrets. As head of Earth's intelligence services, he knew things that would give most people nightmares. The Council will try to make an example of us, Junho said. They will say we broke their most sacred law. They will demand punishment. Taiho nodded slowly. And what would you have me say? That we are sorry? That we made a mistake? No, Admiral Yuna's voice was firm. You will tell them the truth. All of it, the truth. Taiho almost laughed. The truth was simple and terrible. 3 weeks ago, Earth's deep space sensors detected a massive fleet gathering near the border of human territory. 200 Vexery warships. Troop transports. Supply vessels carrying enough food and weapons for a 6-month campaign. Their target was clear, the Kepler sector, where 12 million humans lived on agricultural colonies. The colonies had no defenses. They grew food. They raised children. They looked up at peaceful skies and never imagined fire falling from above. Director Junho had brought the intelligence to Admiral Yuna. She had brought it to the Earth Council. And the Earth Council had faced an impossible choice. Galactic law was clear. The non-aggression doctrine, established 10,000 years ago, stated that no species could attack another without first being attacked. Defense was permitted. Preemptive strikes were not. The reasoning was logical. If everyone waited to be hit first, no one would start wars. But the Vexery had found a loophole. They gathered their forces in their own space. They made no threats. They sent no warnings. They simply prepared, quietly and patiently, for slaughter. If humanity followed galactic law, they would have to wait. Wait for the Vexery to cross the border. Wait for the first bombs to fall on Kepler. Wait for 12 million people to die before they could legally respond. The Earth Council voted unanimously. They would not wait. Admiral Yuna gave the order to Captain Kim Hanna of the UES Horizon. 47 ships launched in secret. They crossed into neutral space. They found the Vexery fleet still assembling, still unprepared, still believing that humans were too afraid to break the rules. They were wrong. The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, 140 Vexery warships were destroyed. The rest fled in chaos. Human losses were minimal. 3 ships, 212 crew members. Earth's children would sleep safely that night, but now came the price. The Vexery will demand our expulsion from the Council, Taiho said. Other species will support them. We are new. We are strange. Many fear us already. Let them fear us, Admiral Yuna replied. Fear keeps our people alive. Fear also makes enemies. Director Junho leaned forward. Ambassador, we intercepted communications from 7 other species after news of our strike spread. Do you know what they said? Taiho waited. They said nothing. Not one condemnation. Not one word of support for the Vexery. Only silence. Junho smiled slightly. The galaxy is watching. They want to see what happens next. They want to see if humans can get away with what they all secretly wish they could do. Taiho understood. For thousands of years, predator species like the Vexery had used the non-aggression doctrine as a weapon. They prepared their attacks openly, knowing their victims could not legally stop them. The strong ate the weak, and the law protected the strong. Until now. I leave for Nexus Prime in 1 hour, Taiho said. Admiral, I need everything. Every piece of evidence. Every intercepted message. Every image of their fleet. You will have it. And if they still vote to expel us? Admiral Yuna's eyes were cold and steady. Then we stand alone. We have done it before. Our ancestors survived ice ages, plagues, and wars. We will survive this. Taiho ended the call and began to pack. He took only a small bag. He would not need much. Either he would convince the Council that humanity had acted justly, or he would return to an Earth isolated from the stars. As his shuttle lifted off from the station, he looked down at the blue and green world below. 7 billion people lived there. They were counting on him. They did not know it, but their future rested on the words he would speak in a chamber full of aliens, who saw them as dangerous children. He would not fail them. The stars blurred as the shuttle jumped to hyperspace. Ahead lay judgment. Behind lay the only home humanity had ever known. Kong Taiho closed his eyes and prepared for war.